Hello and welcome once again. It's time for us to have another great conversation on this Breakfast Connect podcast. My name is Titilayo Oyinson, and I have in the studio with me a very interesting individual. Now, his name is Rev Victor Atenaga. Now, he's the senior pastor of Simply Worship International Ministry, or SWIM. It's based in Benin City in Nigeria, and the mandate is raising an army of worshippers who will conquer their world and in turn raise others to do the same. Apparently, SWIM started under the leadership of himself and his wife, Vivian Atenaga, in April 2012, and it's grown into a multi-location church and is still growing. He's an astute speaker, leadership coach, marriage counselor, voice therapist and trainer, as well as international worship leader. Now, he's inspired people in conferences and churches from different parts of the world, and it's all about city transformation strategies with the Reverend. Now, I did mention that he's an astute speaker, and he has a really special kind of voice. He served as a music minister for over 2 decades and a church planter and pastor for several years. He's an author as well. I need to get you on the book club. I have a book club podcast I'm going to invite you for one of these days. And, nice. And it's all about understanding the priesthood of the psalmist. Fear not, you are not cursed. Answers on how best to use your voice, and many, many more. Welcome to the Africa Business Radio studios.
Thank you very much, Titi.
Okay, so there's something I love about podcasts. I love the fact that we can say and do almost anything on a podcast, especially with regards to how conventional radio has limited many in the past. This is one of the reasons why I have the opportunity to speak with you and ask you about music ministry. Music ministry. People don't really think of it as a business. People don't think of it as something that needs to be invested in. People don't think of where it's going to be in the next 5 years. But based on what I read from your profile, I can see that discussing the intricacies of managing a music ministry in West Africa with you is one of the best ideas I've ever had.
Thank you.
So let's talk about how it all started. When did this begin for you? I mentioned 2012. Was that the starting point, or was it way before?
2012 was the startup of Simply Worship International Ministry as a church.
Okay.
But before then, music for me started late 80s, and I grew up the ranks and started a worship movement in about 91 called Worship and Clouds.
Wow.
With Pastor E.O. Godwins, and we did that having meetings across Nigeria. Then about 94, 95 we started having voice therapy. 96, 97 we started having voice therapies in different zones in Nigeria to train people. Where we saw that there was this process of a decline in vocal outputs from singers in church. So we began to put our gifts, because before this time I could sing, I couldn't train. So that was another episode for me in my life, and that lasted for quite a number of years.
Okay.
So for me, music started about 89, but church started 2012.
That's quite a journey for a voice, and I've met with voice trainers before, and we've had conversations where you find out that a voice is an instrument.
Yes, it is.
It needs to be tuned. But when did you discover your voice?
Okay, I discovered my voice about December 1989.
You're saying December. You remember exactly December?
Yes, but I can't tell the exact date, but I remember December. And I was asked to sing a song, and I sang the song. I wasn't a religious person before I became a Christian. I was just a young boy out there. So I didn't have all those bless you kind of stuffs in my head. I was just there. I came genuinely. I came through the door, not through the window like I usually say. But after I'd finished singing, my pastor said, "You have a fine voice." I didn't know what that meant. I didn't really, as at that time, I didn't know what that meant. So I began to say, oh, really? So from that day, I began to see myself differently because I love to sing.
Okay.
So that's how I found it. And I began to train. Every other thing I began to learn. Every other thing I began to do, I began to learn when I started seeing some weaknesses in some light. They were more on personal basis because, like as at that time, there were no institutions that could do that for you.
So I'm thinking about what the next move was. You've been told that you had a fine voice. You were probably doing a more secular style of music then, or singing songs that were not exactly geared towards the gospel. But then it does take quite a lot of training to get to where you are now. Did you go to a school for it? Did you have a voice coach yourself? Where was the next move?
Personal study.
Okay.
Yeah, I came across some materials because the man I worked with, Pastor Godwin, says at that time, in the church I was under at Bishop Benson, that house I was heavily connected to the West. Okay. So we had access to some materials and I had to read them, practice them. Okay. Because it was two different things, being able to sing and be able to interpret what you sing. And that was how I grew. So
now music ministry is on one part, there's the voice, there's the singer, there's the artist, but then on the other part there's the investor, there's the person who is willing to also train and groom other people around him. So when did you get to that point? You did mention some time ago just now that you didn't have the skills to train, but when did you make that decision that, this is something I need to grow?
Okay, for training others, my first training was for myself. And for training others, I was asked to train 19 foreign students.
Wow.
Bible school students who came from different parts of Africa.
Okay.
Mostly from the Francophone country, from East Africa. They came and they gave them to me to train.
Okay.
Now imagine what I'm going to be telling them. Excuse me. I could sing, but I couldn't teach. So I started studying. I remember studying for months. In fact, some nights I didn't sleep. Months studying. That was when I began to realize, this thing I'm doing is called this. And this is how you do it. I later came up with my own formula on how to produce sound, which was different from what I saw in the book because I was a practitioner. So that worked for me. Then as it pertains to music and business, I didn't realize on time that there is a business side to every gift. Every gift, whether you call it singing or recitation or science or creative or performing art. The book of 1 Corinthians says, to bring out that scripture, but
please go ahead.
It says that every gift is given to the body to profit without. And profit is in three dimensions. It's both physical, monetary, and then spiritual. Most times people like starting from the spiritual, but I like starting because this side they don't really look at. For me, the spiritual side was what I concentrated on. Okay. And I lost the business side. Later on, when I realized, I began to look in that direction because we had concerts in 93 in Warri. We had in Port Harcourt. That they had in Abuja that we didn't have sponsors for. Okay. After most of the meetings we did before 2000, after every concert, we come back broke. So who pays the bills? You're going to rent the lights? In that part of South for gospel events, I'm sure we're the first to be using professional equipment way back 90s. Professional lights, the Leko spotlights, all those 10,000 watts and all those ones, the halogens that when you come under them, all your makeup are watered away. And they all cost money, serious money. So I began to see the problems we had made me look in the direction of the business side. Still learning though, but mastering the process So we began to look at, okay, in order to be able to raise funds, you have to think about the business side, because for everything to be sustainable means it has to be funded if money is being consumed in keeping it to running. Yes. So that was when I started looking in the direction of the business side, and that is very, very key. And nowadays, the challenge people usually have is when they look at what they have and they can't find sustaining power for it. When they can't find sustaining power for it, they tend to want to retire on time. So for me, I tell them,
give up.
Give up, yes. For me, I tell them, never you allow anything stop you from expressing yourself. Okay. So if it take you to do an extra business, do it. But make sure you keep expressing yourself, doing that thing that is on your inside, because nobody will ever be like you, dead or alive. So you have to be you. Then you have to look into that gift you have and see how you can you can extract the business side and maximize it. Okay. Because music ministry is a ministry, but can also be a business, a very huge business. Imagine Hillsong at about 2010 or so, 2011. They said they sold over 10 million copies worldwide of their music that year. When if I press my calculator today to 10 million copies, that will amount
of a $10 album. It's a $10.
Yeah, $10
album. Yes.
Multiplied by 10. Yeah. That's way over 60 billion.
Amazing.
Nigerian naira. As of today, I'm sure that should be close to 100 billion, if not more.
Goodness me.
From just one product. So you need to know the business side, understand it, master it. Whatever it to take you to do that is left in your hand. God usually gives people give people gifts, but what they make out of it is their headache. How great you eventually become is dependent on the power of your vision, what you saw when you saw. So that's very key for me.
I love what you touched on with regards to vision, because in the end, in every business, there is the visionary, and then there are the team that he pulls in around him to help build the vision and make it happen. And I have a feeling over the years, your teams have probably changed a few times.
Ooh, you can say that a billion times, and then you just be starting. The first, in fact,
exhausting.
Yeah. Because, most of those times when I used to travel for music, there was scarcely any high profile city I go to that I don't see my proteges or people that have worked with me.
Okay, amazing.
Some of the top lead guitarists in Nigeria started with me.
Wow.
Yes, the celebrity ones. Let me withhold their names.
Okay.
But most of them are in Lagos now. They played with me. Some have played for Bongo Sikwe, some have played for all the likes of them, Two-Face and all. But they started with me. So, and they can't stay with you when you don't have all it takes to keep them. They're going to look for greener pastures, because musicians are like a moving train. They keep moving too, because just as you have your own vision, they have their own vision too. So the team, one thing that helped me to be able to raise new ones was that most of their greatness got a new spark from the relationship with me. So it wasn't hard for me to raise others. I remember one time I told my wife I was tired. She told me, "You've done it before, do it again." So I did. Coincidentally, that was part of the team that started church with me. When I told them, "You're free to go, God has asked me to start church. We're going to stop all this movement."
Wow.
Some of them came to me and said, "No, we'll stay with you." And I taught them also that sometimes music can be quiet in terms of money. So have something else doing that will help you keep up. Some of them started different business. In fact, I'm sure every member of my team have one business or the other. They registered that they're working on. Some are manufacturers, But when we're going on the streets, when we're going on the road, we go there and do our stuffs.
Amazing. So apart from music ministry, is there anything else we didn't really talk about your personal background. Were you a banker? Were you into insurance? Were you a trader? What were you doing before you decided to go into ministry?
Okay. For me, ministry started, like I said, when I found my gift. That was when it started. It started in the late 80s. But that was, that was when ministry started for me. And if you check it out properly, you find that I was a very young person then.
Oh, yes, of course. So of course.
I did data processing. I have a diploma in data processing, civil engineering, and a degree in civil engineering. These were not related to my ministry, I later went for more trainings that I'm using for ministry now.
So the reason I ask this is there's always that pause point where that turning point where you ask yourself, you know what, should I go and dust my CV? Should I go back and think about
it? Never happened for me.
It never happened?
Yes, because my journey has been a very, very tasking one and a beautiful one.
Okay.
I've known for at least 30 years what I was going to do. But how I was going to do it, I didn't know. Those were all my learning process. So even when I went to study civil engineering, I went there deliberately to be quiet for a moment.
Wow.
Not because I knew I wasn't going to do anything with it. I never was going to work with it. Now I only use it for our construction. but I don't use it for anything business directly. So for my own case is different because I've always known.
All right.
Worked, did ministry, church planting, music for a while. The Archbishop saw me, brought me into his team. So till his death for some years, I was traveling with him. I was working in the office as one of his staff in the office. Then also as his personal music, his personal psalmist. So that was a very, very heavy itinerary. It took like 4 years or so from me.
Okay.
So,
or gave 4 years to you.
Okay, gave 4 years to me.
Gave 4 years.
Gave 4 years to me. Yeah. That's the right word. That's the right phrase.
So I bring it back to what your documents would have said you were to be, and what you eventually decided to be, and then your purpose, because there are good ideas and then there are God ideas. But those God ideas, we probably have no idea how we're going to get there, but God does. And in the end, you might be walking down a path that doesn't look like a paved road, but then you're still walking. So with music ministry, has there ever been that point where you just didn't know where exactly it was going? And how were you able to overcome that?
Sincerely, I have not been able to interpret up to 50% of what I see about the music ministry.
Okay.
And that is because I've not gotten all the money I want to drive music ministry. Somewhere along the line, I got tired of traveling because most of the time I was traveling at least twice a week.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
In my very busy period, I was traveling up to 52 times or more a year. So that's like once a week. Yes, that was very, very heavy. And I started getting tired because I wasn't seeing everything that I was feeling on my inside happen. So one day, the Lord said to me, have you not seen that it's as though you're around a circle? I said, yes, and I'm tired. He said, it's because you've not been listening. You've just been moving around the circle.
Wow.
You're supposed to run a church. I said, how does this church relate to music? He told me the music is at the back and I'm starting from the back. I'm running from the back and I won't get to where I'm going.
Wow.
So I took the obedience and I started church. I thought I was going to drop music altogether. I did. For a while, I stopped traveling. As we stayed in church, see people come. If you come to our church, there's a funny trend. once you are singing like this and you're in the congregation, you hear harmonies inside the audience. They are not in your music team.
Wow.
You hear people singing, you hear different parts inside and then you'll be hearing some ad-libs. Sometimes you stop like,
is that the same song? Is that the same song?
So I began to realize that there are loads of gifts. And the work of a pastor is simple. It's not to be their God, but to help everyone succeed with whatever gift they have, whether they're business people, whether they're music people, creative art, performing art, whatever they are, scientists, your job is to help them succeed. So we established what we call Business Congress, a fellowship for business, for entrepreneurs or intended entrepreneurs. Then it came a time I said, this thing I'm running from, I have to go back to it. We started Swim Art. Swim Art is like the performing art hub for Simply Worship International Ministry. So that's how we started those recordings again.
Amazing.
Started doing those recordings. Then we did a short movie.
The Jesus
Project.
The Jesus Project.
Yes, that was our first project for the Swim Art. Did some other singles. We have a Christmas. We have another one. We have some jobs on the pipeline.
Do you ever get worried, for any reason whatsoever, that the world isn't in that place of acceptance of the fact that music ministry is here to stay? I find that there are a group of people who want to be ministered to through music, but then there are just some who are adamant that they just do not want it. There's some that even in their little spaces, you could probably never hear them or never get them to download a gospel song. You probably won't find one on their phone. You probably won't see them change the channel if a music minister starts singing praise worship on TV. Do you ever get worried about that and where the world is going?
No.
No.
Yes.
At all?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Before now, they used to tell us that that gospel music, our kind of gospel music, because the type I play, wasn't prominent in the days I started. So they'll tell you that this won't work. When you ask them, those big marketers in Alaba, in Opiweka, they'll tell you, no, this kind of music is for you. Boom.
Wow.
Yes. For me, gospel music in itself is not religious, and it appeals to everybody.
Okay.
I have scarcely seen anybody, whether you like music or not, come to our space and not like our music.
Okay.
Yes. You might not download it, but please don't touch that dial when it plays. And you'll be persuaded that there's something about it that is beyond the ordinary. And music is one thing that helps bring people together. It's part of the reason we did what we did with the Swim Art. Another dimension of it is to help people with gifts come have a platform, leave crime. In our headquarters city, we have cultism up to primary schools.
Goodness.
That's bad. B-A-D in bold letters. So we started thinking, how do we change the narrative? Let's give them something positive doing. So we're trying to set up a business platform for that as well, so that once you find expression, you take your hands off the guns. So if I tell you about Jesus and you don't want to hear, I'll give you a microphone. If you hear the way you sound and you sound right, and I applaud you and people applaud you, I'll start showing you another direction.
Okay.
Because one thing we always want to do is to give everyone a little leadership course that helps you find your essence and pursue life in a light. So I don't fear that they are not going to listen. It's only with time. Look at what Kanye West did.
Of course.
His recent album. That guy have made people who have never listened to gospel music listen to gospel music. So I think it's only going to get better. Our listenership is going to increase because our sound will keep coming, especially from Nigeria and Africa. Africa is the next biggest thing in the world. Our sound, yes, quite a number of us are singing Western music or with Western genres. But for me, if you listen to our songs, you will always find something about Africa in it. Our Christmas, we fused the Western with the African, and we're just going to keep doing that. I told my team, I'm looking forward to an album that is just a full praise worship album that is hip hop. Yes.
Full worship album.
That is hip hop with the African genre at the background.
I want to touch on the fact that West Africa, well, Africa as a whole, as you just said, is quite powerful in entertainment. And you just mentioned now that you'd like hip hop.
Yeah.
But there is what do they call it? Is it Afro pop that they're calling it now? Afro pop, and people they seem to be connecting with that, what I'm going to say the young people say vibe now. That is a vibe for people now. And people are seemingly buying into it. But in terms of West Africa, what do governments need to do to make sure that they are properly investing in this type of music?
First of all, they need to work on our laws, our copyright laws, our copyright laws need to be worked upon to protect and encourage people with these gifts who are able to create these things. The second thing they need to do is they need to invest in the industry. Like maybe make things easier for company owners that have production equipments or that bring these things into the country, and even give more licenses to institutions. We look forward to having a university that is going to do some of this. Yes,
just pure music.
It will branch a little from creative art, creative performing art.
Okay.
Yes, creative performing art. The other thing we're going to add to it because of them is the ICT area.
Okay.
Yes.
Producers, editors.
Producers, editors, cinematographers.
Amazing. Okay.
And the likes.
So that's what you would like to see.
I would like them to do that. If they do it a great deal, the cost of gaining knowledge will come down. People will find, because the strongest part that builds the economy is the human capital.
Okay.
It's multiplies the effect, the outcome of the figures in the currency.
Okay.
So if they do that, invest into that, then create incentives for people who are going in those lines, maybe soft loans or grants given to people who are investing in that line. You will see quite a lot happen, because many people that are doing the production, some of them just have a little system in the house that they're using to create their beats and all.
Yeah. But the issue of them creating it or starting small, it's still encouraged. And with the advent of social media, a lot of people are getting that exposure that they need. When you started, there wasn't social media.
Far away.
There was nothing like that. There was TV, radio, conventional communication platforms.
Yeah.
But how do you think social media is helping to promote this particular industry?
Currently, Facebook just started monetizing videos.
Yes.
And the people that are benefiting the most from it seem to be those that are into movies, skits and all. I was telling my wife a few days ago that I'm sure Nigeria will become the center of skits in the world very soon.
Eventually.
Because the views they get per time. So social media is very, very, very key. Very, very key. But if government makes production easiar, importation easier, or let's even skip importation, let's encourage things like things like auto technical, come to Nigeria, invest, build their plants here. Our production costs will go down.
Okay.
Lots of people have talents. There are music you've not even imagined that are there. And people are sleeping with it. They have been unable to create it. So the social media will help in spreading it out. You know, the world is turning into a village via the power of the internet. Now, the social media is going to help people take this thing out. Before, you need to take your CD to somebody in Alaba.
Yeah.
Now you can put it out there and start getting listenership. Yeah. If it's a video viewership, at the end of the day, you're getting your money, it's entering your bank account. And government also needs to work on our monetary policy because there are things now that are still a little difficult. Like you want to open a PayPal account. Yeah. If you can't do that, let the government help us get the equivalent. That it's never been rosy. Okay, maybe I got beginning just wrongly. Okay, but in terms of just wrongly. Okay, no money. Yes, no money. Very stressful nowadays. If singers that are getting in now that there's no money. No money. There's no money nowadays. If singers that are getting discouraged now that they are leaving the gospel, going to secular, I'm laughing at them. Wow, they have a better life now than we did. Into secular, I'm traveling with. Wow, they have a better life now than we did. Nowadays, at least you can see somebody who will give you transport. They have a better life now than we did. Nowadays, at least you can see somebody who will give you transport. Wow. Imagine traveling with a team of people from. Nowadays, at least you can see somebody who will give you transport. Wow. Imagine traveling with a team of people from Benin to somebody who will give you transport. Wow. Imagine traveling with a team of people from Benin to all the way to Imo State. From Benin to all the way to Imo State. And all they gave to you was 10,000 naira. For what? What will you do with it? There were times nobody even gives you transport. You will trek to that meeting and trek back if it's within your city. Nobody cares. So now things are better. What people should do is to come up with a business idea that helps their work. Yeah, if you look at the side of the honorarium, you're going to get frustrated. Of course. Yeah, if you're a writer, why not write for companies? Why not write for organizations? Join, register your interest with money from other means. Look at the business side of your music. Don't only look at it in terms of ministry as in service side of your music. Don't only look at it in terms of ministry as in service. Look at your gifts also in the area of business. Do business with your gifts. Amen. The talent that the parable that Jesus shared, he said, do business with it till I come. Amen. So it has not been easy. Yeah.
I'm so glad you were able to share that.
Oh, yes.
Because there's a young person out there listening probably right now, wondering, where do I begin? How do I begin? What is the first thing I need to do? So in just 2 sentences, what is the first thing a young person needs to do now?
First of all, discover your sound.
Okay.
You discover your sound. In discovering your sound, listen to your inner voice and find out the type of sound that appeals to you. If it's not in the environment, sing it out. Yes, sing it out and try to understand the musical formation of what you are feeling on your inside. Then never stop creating it.
All right.
The next thing you need to do is to seek a platform. Now, you mentioned the social media. Get somebody to play something for you, even if it's a keyboard.
Questions for you. I have a feeling they'll be reaching out to you very, very soon.
I'll be glad to have them.
And of course, you can follow us at Africa Biz Radio very, very soon.
I'll be glad to have them.
And of course, you can follow us at Africa Biz Radio on Twitter, at Africa Business Radio on Instagram. Of course, you can follow us at Africa Biz Radio on Twitter, at Africa Business Radio on Instagram and Facebook, as well as linked. Us at Africa Biz Radio on Twitter, at Africa Business Radio on Instagram and Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. We can't wait on Instagram and Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. We can't wait for you to reach us and, tell us what you think about the conversation we had today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Until next time, have a great day and keep listening.